Honorable Men Discord. Kenyon Martin handles his gripe live on Gil's Arena. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So let's get straight to it. For those of you that don't know, Kenyon Martin had a gripe with one of the people behind the scenes of Gil's Arena. And when it came to his attention, because he was so distraught, because he was so hurt, he decided to call that guy from behind the scenes onto the camera and basically humiliate him. The reason why he did this is because years prior to the guy joining the show, the guy had mocked him for having a speech impediment. And the guy did not know Kenyon Martin at that time, but yet it was still out there. And for whatever reason, once the guy joined the show, even though he's behind the scenes, someone put that information out there. Someone made Kenyon Martin aware that the guy did that. And that's what sparked this video I'm about to play. So let's get into this video, and then I'm going to also get into Kenyon Martin responding to Gil, because Gil was speaking on the fact that it was old. It was before he knew him. So Kenyon Martin doesn't care that it was old. He cares that the fact that it was done. But let's watch this video and then I'll explain everything further.
So this is what disloyalty and people who don't respect you look like, y'all. People like him. Be careful who you invite into your home, who you have around your loved ones and your friends and family. This is what you get. People like this that talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. That's the situation.
All right, this is a short clip. The actual lecture that he gave the staff member was longer than this, and it hit him for two reasons. It hit him personally for two reasons, as he mentioned in this clip. This is someone who he actually, it seems like, had a relationship with him and had a friendship with him and brought him over his home, his personal place of residence. And to find out that this guy at one point in time in the past, regardless of when it happened in the past, to find out that this guy mocked him for something he struggled with as he was an active player in the NBA, it really bothered him. And there's a lot of people responding to this clip. Some people feel as though Kenyon Martin was out of line because he could have just pulled the man to the side off the camera and dealt with it. They felt as though by him using Gil's Arena's platform live on air to do this, it was just disrespectful, because he could at least let Gil know and the rest of the members of the panel. No one knew what was going on. And I saw this in its entirety from the portion where he called the guy to come to the camera, and no one knew what was going on. They just let it rock, and then he proceeded to lean in on the guy for what he did. I have to note that the guy was apologetic all the way through, and he did not want to accept his apology. So that's one thing to consider also when we go into this next clip. And this is Kenyon Martin just responding to people's reaction to how he handled the situation, and then we have Gil speaking on it as well. So let's get into that, and I'm gonna talk about it further.
I don't tell you how to handle your situation. It's the way you choose to handle it. People are speaking on it. People close to the situation, people not close to the situation. And people around the situation knew about the situation before it landed on my doorstep. Really close to the situation. And speaking on it. Gil went and had his 2 cents about it, as well as everybody else. And Gil let you guys know that this situation was old. Dude on the internet doing what he did. But I don't care.
Okay, oh.
So, first of all, I grabbed this from Self Talk YouTube, so I have to give him his credit. I'm gonna fast forward straight to Gilbert Arenas speaking on this.
I didn't know what to say. You can't tell a man how to respond, right? That's one thing you can't do. When they feel a certain way, right? Whatever actions you put, if that person wants to respond, that person wants to respond. So, there's just details in it where, the video itself, where the guy was saying it, he wasn't actually working with us yet, with Gil's Arena. He was reading comments, and so this was a few years ago. So he was reading.
Oh, this is a recent.
Yeah.
This is recent.
It wasn't recent. It was pushed to Kenyon like it actually was recent, but it wasn't a recent thing. He wasn't on the staff, and I guess he was like defending me in a sense, and he was reading comments and going off the comments, and then he said that about Kenyon.
Okay.
And then after the fact, he met Kenyon when he came and started working for the company and stuff like that, and him and Kenyon became good. So, the people who held on to it, been, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to get it to Kenyon. And then, I guess since it came, to light, like, oh, we have the video. And then that's when he tried to apologize to Kenyon. So
let me say something. I saw other things prior to putting together this episode, and apparently the guy allegedly had tried to apologize about this off camera, and Kenyon Martin brushed it off, maybe because he, I guess he didn't really take the time to actually investigate what the guy was apologizing for. I don't know how true that is, but this is a real tricky situation. So for those that say that Kenyon Martin was wrong, I would say he was wrong for not letting Gil in particular know that he was about to do this, because this is Gil's show. It's Gil's arena. All right. And Gil has other retired athletes on the panel. And if I'm not mistaken, Kenyon Martin was not part of the original cast. Now, that doesn't have much importance in what I'm about to say, but everyone is getting an opportunity to have a voice thanks to Gil. And it's no different than what's going on Joe Budden Network. And I'm only bringing Joe Budden up because he's the only person I know with a large panel. And where I'm going with this is you're an employee of Gil. And I don't say that to be disrespectful to what it is that Kenyon Martin does and his contribution to the show. As an employee, you have to show some type of respect to your colleague, your boss, your friend. I don't know what their relationship is like, but obviously Gil values what Kenyon Martin brings to the table. And so for that reason, a good sign of respect would be to pull Gil to the side and say, I have something I need to get off my chest and I want to address this guy on camera. And first see how Gil feels about that. And I'm pretty sure Gil wouldn't have liked that happening and that taking place. Why? Because it's his show and it puts him in between something he knew nothing about. And then he has to fix the situation to make the environment peaceful. And Gil did not have that opportunity once Kenyon Martin decided to just take over and say, you know what, come to the front. I need to talk to you about something. You blindsided Gil. And for that reason, for those people that say Kenyon Martin was out of line, I agree. Now, much like what Gil said, you can't control how a person feels. This was in the past. We don't know how far in the past it was. But here's something to take away from this episode. And this goes for no matter what field you're in. If you're watching this episode, just keep in mind when you put things out there, if you say certain things, even if you don't say things on record, if you say things about another person to another person, just know there's a high probability that it's going to get back to that person. And so when you try to now work with that person, understand that person's going to have some resentment to you, right? So you can't be surprised if that person years down the line brings it up in your face. You said it, you got to own it. Okay, this gentleman owned it and was apologizing, but Gil didn't want his apology. That's up to that. I'm sorry, Kenyon didn't want the apology, but the guy apologized a few times from what I saw. But unfortunately for him, he said what he said, and Kenyon didn't want the apology. One thing I have to question is when this gentleman, from the time Gil decided to place him as one of the people behind the scenes, from the time he knew that Kenyon Martin was involved, did he not think it was a good time to address it, or did he forget that he said something in the past? He looked at it like it wasn't that important. When exactly did he try to apologize to Kenyon Martin? See, I don't know the timeline, but again, allegedly he did try in some fashion to try to apologize for things that was said. I guess he said something on social media. I don't know what platform he did it on, but he said something where he was mocking Kenyon Martin's speech impediment. Kenyon Martin, when he was active in the NBA, used to stutter a lot, especially in the post interviews after games. And I remember that because I used to watch some of the New Jersey Nets when the Nets were in New Jersey. So I used to watch some of the games and he would stutter. So it's not something that's new to most people that followed his career. But with that being said, it's a real touchy subject for him. Obviously, he worked on it because he does an excellent job now on Gil's Arena. He's not stuttering now. At least I haven't seen any clips of him stuttering. But it really must have been something he used to get. He used to be made fun of for, and it just triggered something inside of him as a grown man where he just felt like, I got to embarrass this guy. But I just, I think he could have did it off camera, or at least show Gil some respect by letting Gil know, listen, this is what I'm planning on doing today. But to blindside Gil and the rest of the panel, I think that was uncalled for. So for that, he needs to be a little bit apologetic for that. How he decides to continue his relationship with this guy who's on the behind the scenes for this podcast, that's up to him, but what's done is done. So that's my thoughts on this. What's everyone's thoughts who's seen this in its entirety, or who have just watched this video for the first time? What's your thoughts on this? Do you think that Kenyon should be apologetic to Gil for his behavior whilst they were taping live, or do you think this is all fair game once he find out that he was once mocked and disrespected by someone who's also a part of the same show? But that's all I have on this. As always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. On your way out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, stay honorable.